Welcome everyone. Today we'll have a Paimon shop reset video. As you can see over here, the Paimon shop has resetted and there is actually Ningguang and also Xingqiu as we predicted, and there's also the Blackcliff weapon series. Very lovely. And there we go guys, the shop has resetted, so let's dig in with the fates as well. So we're getting the the 10 fates we can buy monthly, and the two characters Ningguang and Xingqiu are actually amazing 4 stars. Actually, I think they're so good, we're going to have a small review of them. I do believe people say Ningguang is about 4.5 stars, and if you guys are considering Ningguang, she is actually a really powerful DPS with a Geo character, and also Xingqiu is available. So Xingqiu is a really good character. If you guys haven't had a copy of him, definitely get one copy of him, because he is actually really good with utility, 25% chance of refunding when you're crafting. Now we'll also do a small review on the Blackcliff weapon series. I'm sure you have seen those weapons. We will do the review on the second part on the Blackcliff bow for Hu Tao as well. We'll have a look at this one. We'll compare this one with the royal pole. So the pole arm for Hu Tao, we'll have a look at this one as well. So pretty nice. Let's have a look at this as well. So let's have a look if anything else resetted. Let me have a look at the Spiral Abuse. So I was curious about the Abuse. It has resetted, so we can go for the 600 Paimon gems again. So let's have a look over here. So start of month, we usually make a video, we talk about things. So there we go. Things has resetted. I only got 32 stars. Oh, there we go. So there's a special buff with the new Abuse, and this is the reflection move. A charge will accumulate every 10 seconds with a maximum of 3 existing at one time. If the active player's HP is less than 50%, okay, it's for Hu Tao, they consume a charge, then they hit enemy. Create unstable energy. This orb will explode after 1 second and create everything. So basically, it's a special Hu Tao Spiral Abuse. Hu Tao Abyss is here, and when your HP is below 50%, you will deal more damage. It's perfect Hu Tao. Who would have guessed? Let me just double check if the monsters are the same. I do believe the monsters are the same. So usually those levels are really hard. I'm really aware of the floor 12 chamber 2, it's the same, and it's the same over here. So no change on the monsters, but there is a new buff, and this buff is good for most of the characters if your HP goes below 50%. Just be careful which of the card you select. Don't select the one that gives you more attack when your HP is above 50%. And let's do a character review for Ningguang, Xingqiu, and also the weapons on the second part now. Now coming over to more of the character highlights, if we come over to Ningguang, and if we have a look at this clip from oldsoulq. So as we can see over here, Ningguang is going to be fighting Child, and this is a solo Ningguang without switching any characters. You can see that she is quite powerful with her burst ultimate, which is a really good single target damage, and she deals a lot of damage. So Child disappeared on his first phase within about 10 seconds, and the second phase of Child doesn't last long. Notice there's a lot of synergies with her spells as she uses Scream, and as she uses her charge attack, as she uses her burst ultimate, she actually does a lot of damage. So that's why I feel that Ningguang is actually gonna be like a 4.5 star compared to most of the characters, and she is really well loved. She is a really powerful single target DPS, and if you do have a strong catalyst, she can be incredibly powerful. And we can see right here, I do believe this is a 2-month-old clip, and within a minute, Ningguang was able to defeat the highest difficulty of Child. And back then, this was incredible. Even now, those are really good numbers, and she does a lot of single target damage. So coming over to the summary of the Ningguang skill kit, when she normal attacks, she gains 1 star jade, and when she charge attack with any star jade, you will be fired off, and this will deal additional damage. Her charge attack does a quite high amount of damage, and this is actually really good, because she then can use her Jade Scream to have a little protection and also to deal more damage as she threw projectiles through the Jade Scream. And her ultimate allows you to deal a massive single target damage as all the projectiles fired an enemy, and if you do have a Jade Scream, it will do additional damage. So I'm sure you guys know the basics of Ningguang, and she is quite powerful. When she gets the Star Jade, her charge attack doesn't cost any stamina, so she wants to focus a bit on the charge attack. And also with the Jade Scream, she gains additional geo damage. With the latest geo buff, and also there is one more buff with Ningguang that is coming. So this post from FlandreScarlette talk about this particular post, and if you have a look at the particular update with the game notes, you can see there will be 2 improvements on Ningguang, with charge attack movements which might lag, and also the homing projectiles of her burst ultimate. So she is getting a buff in patch 1.4, and this is quite sizable. Now on top of the patch 1.4 changes for Ningguang, there is also currently with patch 1.3, there is a buff to the geo characters. And this is very sizable, because now with the latest buff, the characters will now deal 15% additional damage protected by a shield, which geo characters do have a lot of shield. And this also reduced the enemy's resistance to geo by 20%, so Ningguang will be even stronger. And this is why I say Ningguang is actually a top geo DPS character, and if you're planning to run anyone with a good catalyst, Ningguang is definitely up there. You just need one constellation to make her really powerful, because her normal attack hits now deals AoE damage. And of course, if you do get her to 6 constellation, she is one of the strongest single target characters in the game. Very powerful geo characters, and with all the buffs to zone lead to the geo characters, and also her potential buff in patch 1.4, she can be very powerful. So keep that in mind guys, Ningguang is definitely a character to be aware of in the Paimon shop. Now coming over to Xingqiu. Now you might have seen this part from a previous video as well. I just want to show you guys how powerful Xingqiu could be, and this is from Rapid News on Reddit with a clip of Xingqiu doing pretty decent damage. So as you can see over here, when Xingqiu casts his burst ultimate and he casts his E spell, he's going to get the Ring of Swords, and those swords persist on the team even if you swap characters. The faster you normal attack, the more you proc those swords. And as we can see over here, each time he normal attacks, we get the proccing of those Ring of Swords. And this is quite powerful. Even as a support, even as like a sub DPS carry, he can deal a lot of damage. And this is why I feel in the Paimon shop with Xingqiu, this can be very variable. Now we won't go too much detail with Xingqiu because we did talk about him in the previous video, but I think he's a really good character because both of his E-spell and also burst ultimate stays on the characters. He can work well with Hu Tao, he can work well with Xingqiu for the different elemental combinations, he can be a sub DPS, he also gives us the refinement chances, so if you do not have a copy of him, this is a really good time to look into him. And of course, he can heal us a little bit with his passive, and he does some really decent damage and also lowers enemy resistance. So I do believe Xingqiu is also a really good unit to be found in the Paimon shop. And if you're ever considering to get him to higher constellations, this particular clip shows that he can deal a lot more damage the higher constellations you go. Because at constellation 6, he gains the additional energy gain and also he gains increased sword damage. Even at constellation 1, he gains 1 additional sword. And he gains some skill level ups, he gains more damage, so he is quite strong as a 4-star character. A lot of players in the Chinese community love Xingqiu, and they have been building him with a lot of good weapons. Now talking about good weapons for Xingqiu, I thought I'd highlight this one. Some of the players actually built in the Harbinger of Dawn. This is one of the Albedo 3-star sword, and this weapon actually gives critical damage and also increased critical rate up to 28%. You can easily get this one to the highest refinement for some of those really good stats. Because Xingqiu doesn't need that much attack or he doesn't need them that badly, he can really enjoy the higher critical rate and higher damage. And high critical damage, that's what I meant. So people have been using the Harbinger of Dawn, a 3-star weapon on him, and it's surprisingly effective. Now since we're talking about weapons, let's have a look at the Blackcliff series. Now I'm sure most of us have known the series because they do alternate between the Royal series and also the Blackcliff series. So for this particular month, we have the Blackcliff series. Secondary stats with critical damage is really nice. The particular special bonus will give us additional attack. This is nice if we're killing a lot of monsters, but it's not that effective if we can't kill monsters fast enough. Now overall, those series of weapons are really good. The only thing I want to highlight is the Blackcliff pole. This is the pole arm that we can consider with Hu Tao. Now you do want a higher base attack weapon. This one being on 42 is actually on the lower end with the base attack. Hu Tao doesn't use attack percentage that much, and also she does have a really high critical damage. So overall, I do believe this particular weapon is somewhat average for Hu Tao. This is not the best in slot, this is not the worst 4-star weapon, it's somewhere average. If you think of trying this weapon, definitely have a look at our future Hu Tao guides and videos to have a look at the difference between the 4-star weapons, because I don't think Hu Tao needs those stats that badly. She wants some of the different stats, maybe critical rate and also higher base attack. Now if we come back to the existing series of weapons in the Paimon shop, if your shop have not resetted, with the Royal Spear for Hu Tao, this one actually have a pretty decent base attack. And although this one secondary gives attack which is not that good, this one also gives critical rate if you haven't been quitting. So in comparison between the two weapons for the Blackcliff pole and also with the Royal Spear, I do believe the Royal Spear is actually slightly better. The critical damage is nice, but I like the critical rate over here and also the slightly higher base attack. Now this is more of a personal choice and this is more consistent damage. Overall, both of those weapons are somewhat average for Hu Tao, and again, we'll have videos and builds on Hu Tao with the 4-star weapons to compare them. Now if you found this video helpful, make sure you subscribe and also turn the little bell on for the latest news. I'll be looking towards to make more builds, guides, tips and news and event updates for us as we come further into the game. And as always, I wish you guys the best of luck with Genshin and have the most fun in exploring this wonderful world.